Now this is a story all about how your girl almost got fired from a Christmas job, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right here. I'll tell you how I became this right here.
I guess I really don't know what Christmas is all about. Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about?
Hey kids, you good? You great? You good? You like the shoes with the snakes on them? Yo, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hey everybody, I'm Kyla. If you're new, you should definitely subscribe. Currently we're doing vlogmas, or attempting to do vlogmas on this YouTube channel. So yeah, welcome to vlogmas. Hope y'all are doing good. Yeah. Right now I'm kind of struggling, but by the time y'all watch this, hopefully life will be sorted out by then. Yeah, so guys, today's vlogmas video is going to be a story time. The reason I'm deciding to do this story time as a vlogmas video is because it's kind of holiday related, because it occurred last December, Christmas. So I was like, yeah, if y'all would have remembered, probably not, but if y'all have been around for a while, my first story time I did, which is up on my channel, y'all should definitely go watch. Before I did that, I had posted a poll to vote on that, and one of the other story times included was how I almost got fired from my second job, which is this story time. Keep in mind, my boss, we cool now, like that's my girl, y'all, like we cool now, we cool, but we weren't always cool. You know, we had a bit of a rough start. I'm just telling this story time for fun and entertainment purposes, so not too much, okay? This was a while ago, y'all, right? This was like a year ago, okay? So I was young, right? I'm still young, but I was younger, so please, y'all, like, not too much. I was a little dumb, yeah, very much so. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, y'all, this job, honestly, it was so, like, there were a lot of stuff that occurred at this job, because I feel like any job that's kind of like retail, dealing with people, is going to be very interesting. But yeah, this is Trinidad have some strange characters, y'all, and then also this was Christmas time, so all three of those factors combined just resulted in a lot of weird experiences. But it was really entertaining. I cannot say I was ever bored, y'all. There are a couple things that I may have forgot that occurred, and I know when I watch this back, I'm going to be like, Kyla, you forgot to include this, Kyla, you forgot to include that. But yeah, I'm just going to talk about it, you know, from memory, I guess. Yeah. So anyways, y'all, last Christmas your girl was working, your girl was employed, she was making money. This Christmas I'm not employed, I'm not making no money. So yeah, but last Christmas I was actually in a good place, you know. So I was working. Part of my job was like gift wrapping and selling, you know, Christmas stuff like that, and then the other part was just like regular retail, also maybe like printing a couple stuff here and there, scanning a couple stuff here and there, but retail, regular retail, right? Okay, so my boss, she likes stuff done like a certain way, as she should. I feel like everybody likes stuff done a certain way, but in like very like particular in like how certain stuff must be done, how certain stuff must look, so and so and so. And I try to respect that as much as possible, because also I'm that type of person as well. So yeah, I was just trying to do everything to her liking, you know. I was trying my best. This was the first day, y'all. This is the first day. It was going good at first, you know. I learned a couple stuff. She showed me how to make like the mini vaccination card thingies. The first one I did by myself, I put the laminating paper on the wrong side. If y'all have done laminating before, you know that messes it up. So that was stuff wasted. I had to do it over. A couple later, you know, I also messed up another one. The first time I did it, she was like, okay, cool, obviously, because you know that's my first day. I just learned. It was like, okay, cool. The second time she was like, okay, I need to focus when I'm doing this because obviously I'm wasting materials, blah blah blah. Valid, completely valid. Yeah. What else did I mess up that day? Or yeah, she showed me how to just like print stuff, I guess. I might have messed up a couple prints too, I think. But yeah, the major thing I messed up this day is a man came, y'all. An old white man. Him being white isn't really relevant to the story. Actually, no, it is, y'all, because honestly, I feel like there was a little bit of racism, a little bit of racial bias, a little bit of discrimination involved. And honestly, I feel like in every situation in the world, if there's a white person and a black person, y'all cannot tell me there's not a little bit of racism being exhibited in that scenario. And honestly, y'all, like the way this man was talking at certain points, it felt like he could have just called me nigga and just like I would have rather that. Because now, y'all, like how based on how mad he got and how he was talking, like honestly, he could have just called me there, because like it was given very much like you don't need to react like this over that. You know what I'm saying? Like the way he got them, as mad as he got, it was given like he wanted to tell me to go and get to work on the field. Like he was this man, right? He came to get some stuff printed. He had a document, and I think he gave me a flash drive. I went on the computer, I set it up, not set it up, but pulled it up. I was looking at the document, opened it, printed. When you go to print stuff, if you print in it and you want like photocopies of it, some places they print the first copy and then they just photocopy the rest, because photocopies are generally cheaper than printing. But then also in case like there's a mistake or so and so, the person gets a chance to see it first and then you just photocopy the rest, however, right? But I didn't know that, so I just assumed if he wanted multiple, I just printed straight away from the original document. Yeah, don't do that, y'all. Don't do that. People do that, but that's not what I was supposed to do. It was a 16 or 18 page document, and he wanted 6 or 8 copies or something like that, right? And I thought I typed in the amount of copies that it was supposed to be. So then everything starts printing, blah blah blah. Keep in mind, y'all, as I said, it was an old white man. Y'all know how old people tend to be in terms of like as customers. Yeah, y'all know how white people, I'm kidding, but yeah, so from the jump he seemed a little agitated, a little irritated. He was just being ugh. It starts to print, y'all, and first of all, it was a problem that I had set everything to print like one time. Remember what I was telling you? I was supposed to just print the first set and photocopy. So she was like, she was asking me about it, why, and I was like, oh, I print. And she was like, no, we don't do that. We print the first set and then we photocopy. And I was like, oh, okay, my bad. She talked to me about that, while the customer there, I was just like, oh, okay, cool, no problem. Yeah. So then she said, okay, give her the pages so she could start to put the different sets of documents in order. So as they were printing, I gave them to her. She was starting to put everything together. So it reached a point where she had the piles, the man was there. She was putting together the sets of documents. I think it was 6 he wanted, and 6 documents were laid out. But the printer was still going. Printer was still printing. So I was just like, oh, okay. So I was just still handing her the documents, right? She was laying them out. Then all of a sudden the man starts counting, this customer, right? He starts counting the pages and he starts getting irritated, and he was like, why is the printer still printing? And my boss, she looks at me and I look at her and she looks at me. And I was like, oh, I didn't know why it was still printing, but it was still printing. And the customer, he was starting to get mad. He was like, why it's still printing? I looked at my boss and she was like, you can't stop printing it, because if it's a PDF, you can't stop printing a PDF. It's going to print regardless. Alright, y'all, let me save y'all some time and stress because I feel like I wasn't articulating or explaining this properly at all, y'all. But basically, if y'all missed this, the document originally had 16 or 18 pages. He wanted 6 copies of that, meaning 6 by 18. In the middle of confirming that the document was the 18-page document with him and all of that, instead of typing in the 6 copies he wanted, I typed in the amount of pages in the document, meaning 18 copies of that 18-page document originally. Also, the document, it was supposed to be a legal size document. If y'all don't know, legal is the slightly longer paper, but it was set as a letter size document, meaning he brought it set as a letter size document. But obviously that's nothing we could do. Well, we can't fix it, but if we don't know prior, then when you print, you see if you need to adjust the paper size. But since I had already typed in all 18 to print, all 18 of the legal document printed on letter size paper, and some words were cut off. So in the middle of them, sorting out the documents, he realized that, and then he started to shout and complain about that. And then also the 6 were counted and more were printing, so he was screaming at me to turn off the printer, blah 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 blah. But as I said, my boss said if it's a PDF, you can't turn it off, it's just going to continue to print. At this point, this is just a recording, but anywho, so at that point he was kind of threatening to leave. He was like, don't bother, he doesn't want anything anymore. But obviously, stuff printed. My boss, being the good businesswoman she is, was like, she still wanted to serve him despite his rudeness and all of that. She still wanted to make sure he got his stuff. So she said, okay, we will start over. So then I started over and printed everything on legal size paper. So this time I only printed the 1 set, and then I made the photocopy so he had his 6 sets, and she put all those together. But we still had the extra documents that would have printed wrongly before. So y'all understand how much more extra documents that were printed. Because if the first 18 sets of a 6-page document, 18 by 6, were printed on letter size, and we can't use none of those because they're not formatted correctly, and then to do it over on legal paper, he got those ones. But then 18 by 6, I had that amount of documents, just papers, just that he was not paying for, and he was complaining because first of all, he's not paying for the extra ones that were photocopied, and he's not paying for the ones that were photocopied wrong. So but she's telling him, don't worry, he'll just pay for his 6. But for some reason, y'all know, customers, I don't know, he wasn't getting that. So it was just, while the whole other set of documents was printing, they were having their whole little thing, and I'm just like, because I know I mess up somewhere. So I'm just like, I don't know. I just kind of stayed in the corner because I'm like, Kyla, this is 18 sets of documents. This man only wanted 6, y'all. The man was literally, he was shouting like directly at me in my face. He was shouting at my boss too, but like, y'all, imagine it's your first day of work. You know, everything going good somewhat, you did something that, okay, cool, and somebody just like shouting in your face, like, like multiple times repeatedly, y'all. He was screaming, shouting, telling me to turn off the printer, and I get somebody else to do it because I don't know, sir. This is my first day. Please calm down. Anywho, so they went off to staple their documents, count her documents, whatever. And I'm just standing up there like, and I could tell like she was kind of mad because she was like, how I got all these documents, but like, the customer's there. So, but I could feel it, and so I'm in the corner. I'm like, oh no, how do we go from 6 to 18? But y'all know what I realized I did. The document itself had 18 pages, 16 or 18. He wanted 6 copies, but instead of typing in 6 in the to print, I typed in 18. Because like in my mind it was like, oh, this document is 16 pages, blah blah blah. So in the middle of doing all that, that's what happened. So that's how come we ended up with that many more pages than we were supposed to be. The whole time, like before, she was kind of asking me like, why the printer still printing? When the man was shouting at me, why the printer still printing? And she was like, hey, relax. But then she was like, why the printer still printing? And like I was like, I don't know, I put in 6 copies. I was like, oh my gosh, blah blah blah. But then as I was standing in the corner and I figured it out, I was like, okay. So then y'all, the man, he was a very difficult man. Like his wife had to come over and like sort out, because he was still quarreling. He was still doing a lot. He didn't want to pay. Then he was like, yeah, he was doing a lot. So his wife had to come calm him down, whatever. And basically, obviously, he only paid for his 6 sets. He left after quarreling, making a set of noise. he left, and that was that, y'all. It was a while. If y'all had asked me to give y'all this story like straight on the day, because when I came home from work that day and I gave my mom the story, it was like I had all the details, but it was a while ago, so I don't remember like exact quotations. I just know the general gist of what happened. So then after he left, my boss came to me and she was like, you know, she wanted to find out more of what happened, rightfully, you know, as she would. And I told her, oh, I realized what I did was, instead of typing in the 6 pages, I typed in the amount of pages. Instead of typing in the 6 documents that he would have wanted, I typed the 6 copies. I typed in the amount of pages in the document.
Okay, so at this point, you know, after my silent reflection, looking at my mistake and all of that, I realized how big of a deal it was. And please know that I apologized multiple times. Like, I apologized profusely. Like, I really did say sorry a bunch of times.
And she was like, oh, but she wasn't like, oh, y'all, I really can't remember exactly. Well, I should have really done this story time a year ago. Obviously, you know, she was mad. Because, you know, she was talking about how, you know, I lost a lot of profit, obviously, all because that's paper, not regular paper, but that's like almost 200, I think 200 if my math is correct. That's ink, paper, yeah, that I profit, right? And then I was like, yeah, so and so. So she was telling me, you know, we can't, she wasn't being nice about it. I don't know why I'm saying it as if she was being nice. She wasn't being nice, y'all, but yeah, she was basically quarreling, you know, that's a lot of profit, blah 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 blah. That's why I shouldn't have printed it. I was supposed to print it, as I said, print one, photocopy the others, which, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Obviously more customers come in, so she didn't really get to shout up at me too much, like as soon as he left, but I got shouted at later, so don't even worry about it. Like right fresh after that situation, probably like the second customer after that, they wanted something, multiple stuff printed, so she gave me stuff to do, photocopy. She gave me some to do, and then she did some. Most of them I did were black and white, well, and then there was this one last one, but it was colored, so I asked her if she wanted me to photocopy it colored or black and white. And the way I asked the question, you know, there's some questions, and based on how you based on how you phrase a question, sometimes the answer could either be given yes or no. Like based on how they respond, if they say yeah, it's like yeah, print it in colored, or yeah, no. Y'all understand what I'm saying? It was a kind of question like that. So how I interpreted the answer was yeah, photocopy it in colored, but she meant yeah as in no. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So I photocopied it in colored, and then I gave it to her because she gave me the stuff to photocopy. I had to give it back to her before she went back to deal with the customer, because I was still on, you know, my probationary period, you know, training first day. Cool. When I gave it to her, she was like, I told you to do it in black and white. Y'all, the thing with this the thing with my boss was, y'all, like if I did something that I wasn't supposed to do, like even after that, long after working with her, if I did something I wasn't supposed to do or I messed up, she would like tell me right in front of the customer's face. Like, privacy, no privacy. Like, what are you doing? Like, if I do nonsense, she'll let me know right in front of the customer's face. Like, she'll correct me right, and it's just, yo, I don't know, it's just, it used to be so humbling. Like, it was just like, damn, like we can't talk about this, we can't sort this out like later. She used to like correct me right in front of the customers. So yeah, not like explicitly, she'll obviously do the majority of it like later, but still y'all, a lot of customers saw me getting shouted at. So yeah, after the customer left, she was like, she obviously, you know, started talking about how she gave it to me to photocopy in black and white and not colored, and I was just like, oh. And then like she was actually starting to get mad. She was like, yeah, this is not working out, this first day, and she was just shaking her head. Then she went and looked at the whole pile of documents that I messed up from before. Then she asked me, do you have a problem? As in, like, I don't know, I feel like, honestly, I felt like she was trying to ask me, like, am I dumb? Do I have a problem? I don't know what kind of, but the thing is, even if I did, like, I get what she was trying to ask me, but even if I did, like, you don't ask somebody like that. Honestly, y'all, that's very insulting to me. Like, what do you mean, do I have a problem? She was asking me, do you have a problem communicating? Is it like something? No, y'all, Anyways, y'all, so after messing up the 2 vaccine cards, photocopying this big pile of papers that were trash, doing that thing, just doing all of those stuff, and her, you know, quarreling with me after about it, and then just all of that, yeah, I was starting to feel okay, you know, yeah. And then do you have a problem? Y'all, that did it for me. Do I have a problem communicating or something like that? And she was like, this is just not working out. This is not working out at all.
Hey, it's me again. Also, she was talking about how she's never experienced this. This has never happened to her before. It's never been this bad. I guess with like previous employees or something like that. Well, maybe I'm a star. I don't know what to tell you.
I was just, all of that combined, y'all, it made me start to cry. Yeah, I did start to cry. This is so embarrassing, y'all. No, but y'all, I'm a little sensitive. Like, I know I don't act like it. Like, I just act very nonchalant about like a lot of stuff, and I am, like, because I don't care about a lot of stuff. But deep down inside, I'm actually very sensitive. Like, I don't know, y'all. I don't know, but like, people raising their voice at me, people raising their voice at me will always, like, no, yo, I really cannot tolerate people raising their voice at me. There's a certain, I know why, like, there's a certain level of PTSD that I get, and like flashbacks and stuff to particular stuff in like my life. But I really, this is not therapy, we're not gonna get into that, but like, people, not even at me, just like people raising their voices or arguing or being loud, like aggressive and loud, like, around me or to me, I cannot, like, nah, y'all, that's one of my triggers for real. So yeah, I started to cry. Again, y'all, as I said, this happened a while ago, so I really, y'all, I wish I could have given y'all this story time like right after it happened, because I could have given y'all like more details. But like, now saying it is kind of like, girl, that's what you're crying for. But if I give you like the full picture like right after, y'all would understand why I was crying. Because y'all, the old white man, he shouted at me, right? And then he left. Then she shouted at me. I made a big mistake, and like, I literally, I was seeing my mistake, y'all, because I was seeing the huge stack of papers there. Then I messed up like 3 other stuff. I got shouted at again. Just all of that combined. Then do you have a problem communicating? Like, lady, you trying to insult me? Like, what? So all of that combined, and it was my first day. All of my first day made me cry. So like, I was like obviously wiping it, but like, I don't like people to see me cry. I hate for people to see me cry. So I was kind of, you know, wiping it, you know, kind of, you know, trying, and then she, yo, she was like, no, she was not going for it at all. She was like, why are you crying? She was like, this is an adult job. I expect you to behave as an adult. Keep in mind, I was not an adult. I was 17, but like, still, she was like, understandably, yo, because like, why was I crying? I was at work. Why was I crying? Like, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, my lady had no sympathy. She sent me to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. I cried some more. I called my mommy, and my mommy could kind of tell when I'm crying. And like, my mommy always says like, she doesn't like to see me cry. Like, it does make her, because I have certain instances in life where I've like cried, and it makes my mommy like really sad. Not when I just crying for crying's sake, but like when I actually am crying. So my mom, she was like, oh no, what happened, Kai? I was just like, nothing, mommy, I'll tell you when I get home. And then I hung up and I left the bathroom, because obviously I had to go back to work, right? My eyes were still watering. I was still, you know, okay. So then I'm now thinking about, you know, obviously, y'all, I printed out so many extra copies before, y'all, like, obviously they're not sliding. My lady talk about how she lose so much profits and blah blah blah. So obviously, y'all, not sliding. If you make a mistake that big, like the other stuff is like, okay, cool, but that big, obviously it have some sort of consequence. So I was thinking, okay, I was calculating if I just, how much more days I would have to work, and I was just like, okay, I'll just tell her to keep my pay for those days to pay whatever off, right? Yeah. So I was in my head, I was like, okay, trying to figure out how I would pay this back, right? So then she told me to count the amount of pages, and then calculate how much money it would be. counting the pages is not just counting the pages, but then also multiplying it by how much it took to print. So using her printing prices, whatever, I did the math, y'all, and it was like 600 and something, if I remember correctly. Maybe 500. I counted it up with her, and then I told her, and then she was like, okay, how do I have any idea how I'm going to pay for this? And I was like, oh, she was like, what do you think, do you have any ideas on how to pay this off, or something like that, basically. So I was like, y'all, I was still, yeah, she sent me to the bathroom to like wipe my eyes and stuff like that, but obviously like I was still like, so I was like, I don't know, like I was going to ask my mommy. I told her I would ask my mommy for the money and then bring it for her tomorrow, and then yeah, I just pay back my mommy whenever. And I was just like so then she was like, okay, y'all. But then I feel like at a point in time, I guess like me crying and stuff did seem to have an effect on her, and then she realized, okay, well, this is a little girl, I'm not gonna do too much, you know. So then she came up with this was actually very generous of her. She said she would take $50 out of my pay that day, as you know, to settle that, since it was, you know, just the first day. She said, okay, she understands it's a loss in profit, she's just going to, you know, settle that. She's going to take $50 from my pay that day, and then we'll be settled. And she said just from then on, like basically for the rest of my time working there, so for the rest of the Christmas season, just, you know, be on my A game, because we have to make back that profit. So yeah, essentially that's the conclusion we came to. So basically, it wasn't $50. I don't know if it was $50, but basically y'all, it was like most of my pay from that day went to, I didn't get paid for that day. I just wrote it off as I didn't get paid for that day. I just yeah, the stack of papers, y'all, I'm not even exaggerating, y'all. I'm sorry if y'all hear dogs. I don't know what's going on with these dogs. The papers that I printed, y'all, it was like a stack of papers this thick that were printed, and she gave them to me because obviously she didn't have any use for them. So she was like, here, you take them. And she was kind of making a joke, and I was like, oh, haha, I'm laughing, but it's not funny, lady. Like, what do you mean? You could laugh about this? It's not funny to me yet. So I was still in my feelings. She gave it to me, and I was like, okay. She gave me a bag to put them in, and I took them home. And when I came home with them, like, everybody was just asking me, you know, how's my first day of work? And I was like, yep, my first paycheck. I was telling everybody, well, hey, I got my first paycheck in photocopies. And yeah, I just had a plastic bag with all the stack of papers, and I was like, mommy, this is my pay for the day, because it was basically that was my pay for the day. Honestly, she really was going to fire me. Like, I could feel it when she was like, this is not working out. This is like, she was really at a loss for words. But the reason she didn't is because I feel like she liked me after a while. Like, y'all, I am a very like likable person. Not even trying to be cocky or anything, but like, no, honestly, I'm a very likable person. I've realized that like a lot of adults tend to like me, probably because like I'm quiet and very respectful and polite, and adults like that. I'm not saying that that's as a good thing about me, but yeah, I realized she liked me or something. So we just, you know, we had a talk.
In the talk, it was just basically talking about, you know, how we go forward from here. One of the things she said is that, you know, she doesn't do tears. I was like, yeah, fair enough. That was embarrassing. I'm sorry. And then also the stack of papers that she gave me, she wasn't actually supposed to give it to me, because obviously that's private information, but don't worry, it was burnt.
We sorted out the situation. We continued the rest of the day. The rest of the day was cool. And that was that. Thank God I didn't get fired. She told me to come back the next day. Obviously, well, actually, she couldn't fire me, y'all, because I had to work to pay back. I had to work to make back a profit. No, but like, honestly, y'all, the profit really was like $700. So like, I really did feel really bad. Like, I genuinely did feel really bad. Do I feel like I deserve to get shouted at as much as I did? And 100% no. But yeah, I wanted to quit after that, y'all, because I cannot explain to y'all how much I don't like people shouting at me. I hate it. Like, do not raise your voice at me. Don't do it. Don't do it. So when I went home that day with my day's pay in a plastic bag, showing my mommy and my auntie and everybody, I remember I was telling my mommy, you know, the only thing that was like on my conscience is the fact that I did make her lose like $700 in profit, and I would feel bad just dipping. Even though we settled it, I would still feel bad just, you know. Yeah, that was the only thing. But like, I really was going to quit, and like, that was not the only point I was going to quit, because yo, as I said, I was working, there were lots of weirdos in that job. So like, not in the job, but like I would encounter. So like, there were other times I wanted to quit too. But yeah, why I was telling my mommy I wanted to quit is because like, yo, at that point in time I was 17 years old. A 17-year-old, well, I'm talking about me. I'm not old, because not old, but me, I was a fortunate 17-year-old in that I didn't have to be working. I chose to take my summer Christmas vacation. I chose to take my Christmas December vacation to work, right? I don't have to work. Like, my parents pay for my school, food, clothes, stuff like that. Like, I don't need to be working. I voluntarily decide to work. So if I feel like I'm being treated unfairly, if I feel like somebody asking me if I have problems communicating, telling me something wrong with me, shouting at me, screaming at me, I don't have to take that. So I was telling my mommy, like, no money is worth that to me. Like, I have parents who take care of me. Like, I don't need to be working. So yeah, my mommy was just like, cool, whatever. She was fine with anything.
Okay, so I know my mom is going to watch this. She's going to be like, Kyla, that's not true. She was cool with it, but I think she did tell me that I should at least go back one more day. But she was cool with either outcome.
But my aunt, I remember when I showed her my pay in the plastic bag, and I tell her, you know, how I get shouted at, and you know, stuff like that. She told me that you know, that's stuff that happens in the real world, in the workplace, you know. And yeah, but the advice she gave me though is just to like clarify everything. So from that point going forward, you'll best believe, but everything I was clarifying. Can I use this pen? Like, everything. And then a lot of times she would be like, why are you asking me that? Why are you asking me? I don't care, y'all. I wanted clarification and everything going forward. That was good advice. But then she told me, like, you know, these things happen in the workplace. Just, yeah, you know, yeah, just stick it out, basically. But then too, I was still kind of like, I don't have to. But yeah, I went back the next day. At the end of that job, we developed a relationship. Like, we came a long way, y'all, because from that first day, y'all, she was not feeling me like at all. And the feeling was mutual, because I was like, nah. But we had a rough first day, but we came a long way, y'all. That's my dog now. You know, yeah. But there were other things that happened in that, y'all. One time, this man came to print something, and he seemed to have some sort of, you know, mental challenge or something going on. Like, I don't know. He was also old, so that's not the conclusion I came to at first. I was just like, oh yeah, crazy person in Trinidad. That's just a regular Sunday, you understand? So I didn't realize, but after I was like, oh, he has some sort of thing, it seems. He came, he gave me something he wanted typed, because we also did typing services there. He gave me like a handwritten thing he wanted typed, blah blah blah. Well, I don't think he gave it directly to me. He was kind of talking to my boss at first, but then she called me, she passed him on to me. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't know why she passed him on to me, but like later I was like, oh, so you knew. You knew this man was on foolishness. Anyways, yo, he gave me his handwritten note. He told me, you know, correct his grammar, blah blah blah. Cool. Right, whole day, y'all, I worked on this man's document, typing it up, because he gave me the time he was coming. It was at the end of the day, so I was like, okay, cool. And then obviously I can't just sit and type this man's document whole day, because there's other customers. So while, you know, dealing with other customers, in between all of that, working the whole day, basically, I was working on typing this man's document. Me, as the scholar that I am, me as the educated girl that I am with 7 CSEC passes, 8 Cape passes. Well, I didn't have 8 Cape passes then. I had 4 Cape passes. You know, a 1 in English. You know, I don't know, right? But me as the smart girl that I am, reading this man's what he wrote, he had a lot of stuff. And he told me, correct it, fix it. So what do? I fixed it. I type in, I fixed it, I corrected it, I made my corrections, y'all. This man comes back for it at the time. I asked her to print it. She was like, again, as I told you, I checked everything. I made sure it was cool going forward. But actually, I can't remember if I printed it. I might have printed one. Anyways, he comes back. I let him read it, right, y'all? First of all, he starts talking to me about the grammar that I corrected and the punctuation and stuff. He's like, I had this like so and so. I was like, yes, so you remember you told me I could fix it. That's incorrect grammar. That's incorrect. Basically, all the stuff I fixed, all the stuff he told me I could fix, all the stuff he gave me permission to fix, all the correct stuff, he was pointing out he wanted me to turn the standard English back into broken English. He wanted me to turn the correct punctuation back into incorrect punctuation. You know, in primary school when you used to get like a passage and it used to be like incorrect grammar, no punctuation, you used to have to fix it. Right, I fixed it, y'all. I made it a star. And then he wanted me to, you know, right. So obviously I'm trying to explain to him, blah, 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 y'all. He takes the papers, he flies them like at me onto the ground. He starts, no, that's not all, y'all. Right. Before he did that, he asked me for, I think he asked me to just, because we sold stationery too. He asked me for some highlighters and some sharpeners or something like that. And he wanted specific colors. So it took me a while to pick out all the colors. He was like, no, not that one. Anyways, we had his lineup, right? He had his highlighters, his sharpeners. I was now explaining to him about the paper. He was talking about the paper, blah, blah, blah. While getting mad about me correcting his bad, what he wrote, he flies everything at me, the paper, the sharpeners, the highlighters, and he goes off screaming, whatever. So I turn, I look at my boss like, she comes over now, but then he's gone. He already flies stuff at me. He shouts, he quarrels. I don't know if he cursed me. He probably did. And then he left, and I'm like, but then my boss told me that's the second time he did that. So if he comes back again, don't serve him. So like, yo, that means he did it her first time with her because I wasn't there. She gave him to me so he could do it the second time. Other interesting experiences I had, this was when you know, it still had mask mandates and stuff. So a lot of interesting experiences came from asking people to put up their masks because my boss was very, you know, about COVID, vaccines, health and stuff, because she had her stuff. Obviously, it's just good, you know, you should be wearing your mask. So I just always had to be, you know, I couldn't ignore it. If I saw a nose, because then she would tell me about it, so I just had to be like, please put up your mask. Please, sir, I cannot serve you. Put up your mask, yo. Because if she peeps, she will come over and say something, and if not, very rarely, she will tell me about it later. And it's just, I can't keep saying the same thing over and over. So yeah, a lot of times telling people to put up their mask, yeah, I used to be getting it sometimes, yo. I used to be getting it. So yeah, yeah, the gift wrapping side of it, because after my friends also worked like closer to Christmas, we did gift wrapping and, you know, gift items, gift stuff like that, Christmas stuff. It was y'all, I loved it because yeah, I like the Christmas season. I don't know, well, I never told y'all this, y'all, I love the Christmas season. Like Christmas Day itself, as I get older, it's just very overrated. Like the day itself, it just comes and it's just like, it's just be so mid, you know. I don't even get presents anymore, so I'm sorry y'all, but I like presents. So when I have no presents, it's just like, yeah, it just feels like a regular day. It's still like, yeah, it's Christmas, like don't get me wrong, I love Christmas, but yeah, to me the season is way more exciting than just the day itself. But yeah, my friends, 2 of my friends were working with me. It had some interesting people who came to wrap gifts, y'all. The men especially, y'all, because y'all, if men give y'all gifts for Christmas, all y'all ladies, females getting gifts from men, they did not wrap any of those gifts themselves. I am telling y'all, because most of the people coming to wrap gifts were men. and the questions they would ask, the thing is just like whoa. Like, y'all, this man came. I remember he made me wrap a gift, and then he wanted to put it in a gift bag after. So then I put it in the gift bag, and then he asked, oh, can you do the fluffy thing, whatever, he something like that. I don't know how he explained it, how he asked, but that's what he wanted me to do. So I'm like, I thought he meant tissue paper, right? Like, just, so I'm like, you mean the tissue paper, you want me to put it in the bag? And he was like, yeah. I was like, okay, sir, I got you. So then I did, you know, the tissue paper thing that he was so, I did it. I put it in the gift bag, and then I arranged the tissue paper and I gave it to him, y'all. And the way this man's eyes lit up, y'all, he was so amazed by that. And I was just like, wow. No, but I had a lot of similar experiences with men in that working there. But yeah, it was really fun, yo, honestly, y'all. I like the Christmas excitement and everything. So yeah, there are more stories, but none aren't coming to my mind at this point in time. And this video already long, so I'll just leave it at that. But not even being funny, y'all, this lady, she was gonna fire me from the first day. But yeah, we made something beautiful out of my mistake, and it was a very fun, you know, experience, and I made a good relationship from it. And then also it was a fun experience, it was a fun time. And that's my story time of how I almost got fired last Christmas. Now this is a story all about how your girl almost got fired from a Christmas job, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right here. I'll tell you how I became this right here. Last Christmas, I got fired from my job. The very next day, I showed up again to pay off my $700. So yeah, y'all, moral of the story is, you know, don't be dumb like me. Just be smart, y'all. Be smart, stay woke. Don't settle for less, y'all. Don't let people disrespect you. Don't let people shout at you. Don't let people scream at you. Know your worth. But don't be dumb to start with. That's all I have to say. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok to keep up with me when I'm not posting. Y'all may want to do that, seeing as I don't even really post Vlogmas videos, but more Vlogmas videos coming soon. I think I'm going to do Vlogmas for the rest of December. Yeah. Bye, y'all. No, deuces. I told you that I'm leaving. Hey, I told you that I'm leaving. Hey, I told you that I'm leaving. Hey, like my pay for my first day of working last year. Dipped. Bye, y'all.